Hello, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing another video looking at using the Thumbjam app, but today we're going to be making more music and creating more stuff, but instead of creating our own instruments, we're going to be using the instruments on Thumbjam and using them to create loops. And we're going to record lots of different things using the iPad and loop them on top of each other and hopefully create a really beautiful piece of music. So that we all have a theme to work together with, I thought we could do our theme around spring, because spring is coming and it's so lovely outside and the flowers are coming up, there's daffodils everywhere. I thought it might be really nice if we could have a theme of spring that we're thinking of when we create our little pieces of music. So have that in mind, think of all the things you like about spring. You've got Easter, you've got lots of chocolate, you've got the bunny rabbit, you've got all those daffodils coming up and all the plants everywhere that are really coming into their own and blooming. Keep that in mind and we'll create a really nice piece of music from that. So good luck, enjoy, let's go! So the first thing that we're going to do when we bring up the Thumbjam app is we're going to make sure it's clear. So you can see here I've been playing about with some loops before and it's full of loops. So we're going to make sure we get rid of that. So we're going to click this loop button at the top and you're just going to, you might want to check you've saved it first so you can save it, save the set and rename it to make sure it's saved, and then you can just clear the loops and that'll get rid of everything. So that's that. The other thing we're going to do is make sure our recording settings are set properly. So again, click this loop button. We're going to click loop options here, and then we're going to make sure this quantize start button is on, and we're going to set the number of our bars to 8, because today we're going to make an 8-bar loop, and then we're going to make sure that that's on. So all that means is that whenever you do your 8 bars, it's going to stop recording, so you're not going to have any extras or not enough in there by accident. So make sure we've done that, and then we want to set our tempo. So if you click this tempo button up here, this little metronome, you'll start to hear a metronome and that'll be your tempo. So moment mine's set to 126, I'm going to take it down, I'm just going to set it to a nice 120. I think that'll be a good rhythm. You can take it lower if you want something that's a bit slower, or you can put it high if you want it really fast. So just make sure you've set your tempo at the start and that's fine, and don't change it. Once you've started making loops, don't change it until you're finished everything, and then you can change the tempo of all of them. So that's that, we are ready to go. Okay, the first thing we're going to do to create our piece of music is we're going to make our drum beat with our loop. So we're going to change this instrument to a drum. So if you click the sound button, change instrument, and if you click the categories, there's a percussion category over there, and I'm just going to select these basic drums, but you can try all of these and you can have a play about. So I'm going to select this drums, and you'll see I've got a whole bunch of different drum sounds that I can use now. So it's really important when we record our drum that it's really, really in time and to the beat, because it's going to set our beat for the rest of it. And if this is the first thing we record, if we record it and it's out of time, it's going to be a bit messy. So there's a really simple way of doing that Thumbjam lets us do. So it's this button up here called ARP, it's called arpeggio. So let's see what happens if we put that on. So if you tap that, press that ARP on button and make sure it's set to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you tap something, you'll see you can hold it down and it keeps going rather than you having to keep tapping on it. So let's try something else. Just like that. So this is a really simple way of creating our drum beat. So what I want you to do is click either 2 or 4 different sounds, and that'll create your drum. So let's have a look. What do I fancy? I think I'll go for kick. Maybe a snare. There we go. That's quite nice. So if I tap all of them together, that's what we get. So that's our first thing that we're going to record. And now we're going to click this latch button and you'll see what happens when I click this. Let's have a look. Try this again. I tap it once and then it stays on until you tap something else or you turn the latch off. So that's what we're going to record to do our drum beats. We're going to put the latch on and we're going to put put the drums on, and then when we hit this big red record button, it's going to record straight away. Let's put our latch on so we're ready to record. Make sure you know which sounds it is you're going to record, so you're ready to tap them all at the same time. And then hit that record button, and it'll say touch to start record. So let's do that. Let's get ready. 3, 2, 1. And we can let go. So your loop will keep recording until it's finished the 8 bars, and then that recording screen will disappear and the loop will just start to play in the background. You can pause that loop at any time by clicking that pause button, and don't forget that if it's still going after that, you just click your latch button off and it'll get rid of the sounds. I'm going to add some more drums. You don't have to, but I'm going to add some more, so I've got a bit of crash or something on the top. So I'm going to click that ARP again, and I'm actually I want something that's a little bit faster. So I'm going to change it from 1/4 to 1/8. Let's see what happens when we do that. So you'll see when I click that 1/8, the notes play a lot quicker. So you're going to have something that sounds quicker. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to add in some crash. So this is the second loop that we're recording over. And again, I'm going to keep my latch off for this because I want to control it a bit more. So I just want that control on it. I don't want something continuous. I'm just going to kind of play almost like a drum, like a instrumental filly kind of thing. So I'm going to click this play button. So I've got my drum loop going. And then I'm going to hit record. And you'll see it's starting to record in 20 beats. So that means when it gets to the end of the loop, the end of your 8-beat that you've already recorded, it'll start recording automatically and in time. So let's go. And now it started recording. But obviously I've talked the whole way through that, and I haven't actually played anything. I don't like what I've played. So we're going to click this button up here. It's cancel record, and then your record stops. So I'm going to try it again this time. So I've tried it again, and I still don't like it, but I didn't quite have enough time to click that cancel record. So I'm just going to delete the last loop. See here, it says delete last. Going to get rid of that. And then I've still got my original 4-beat drum thing, but I still want to record my 8 over the top. So let's try that again. Perfect. So I've managed to do that. I've got something I like now, and I've got 2 drum tracks that are recorded on top of each other. So that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add in the notes kind of stuff. So let's change our instrument. The first thing we're going to do together is add in some kind of keys. So change instrument, click this button that says keyboard, and it'll give you all these different keyboard options. Now I quite like this dirty organ sound, so I'm going to go for that. The other thing we need to do before we set up this sound is make sure we've set our scale to the right thing. So click sound again. Change your scale and make sure you've set it to major pentatonic. So major pentatonic is just a really good setting because anything you play together will sound right. So we can use the same scale and the same setting for all of our instruments and it'll sound great. Then you can pick whichever key you want it in. So if you click this the sharp and the flat key at the top, let's tap that. Gives you all these different options. You can choose whichever one you like. You might like specific colours. You might think they remind you of our theme. Or you might just like the sound of something. I'm going to go with that G because I quite like those colours. I think they're quite earthy. So I'm going to go for that. I'm going to stick with that. I'm happy with that. So once you've got your keyboard set, you've picked your key and your scale, you're pretty much ready to go. You can play whatever you want. You might want to make something that's quite melodic. You might want to have a little riff, a little pattern that you've got going. Something like that. You might want to take the arpeggio off. You might want to do something with 2 notes. You might want to do something really down low. You might want to do something higher. I would stick lower for now, but it's up to you. I'm going to keep my arpeggio on and I'm going to keep it with my 1/8. I'm going to move slowly and I'm not going to move a lot between the different colours. Okay, so we've got our keys in and we've got our 2 drums. What else can we add? There's one super important thing that I need to tell you when you're changing between your instruments. So when you change your instruments, after you change your first one, after you've set your keys and decided on what you want, it's a really important button right down the bottom here that you have to check. So this button here that says keep scale and key, you need to make sure that that's blue before you choose another instrument. Otherwise what happens is so we want all of these colours that are on the screen because that's the ones we've picked, but if I have that unchecked and I go and click something else, all of the colours change. So then I need to go back in and I need to change my scale again. I need to get the key right again. So it's much easier if you just click the button down here that says keep scale and key, and then change your instrument. There you go, and they all stay the same. So don't forget to click that little button before you add in another instrument. Let's keep with those kind of low notes. Let's add some bass in. Let's see, change your scale, bass. And again, you've got a couple different options to pick from here. I'm just going to go for the electric bass because it's pretty simple. I'm going to do something a little bit more melodic. So same again, you press play, get your track playing, press record, and then you can record when it gets to the end of your 8 beats. You might find that when you're playing your bass chords, especially if you've got your drums and stuff playing in the background, you might find that it's maybe a bit too quiet for you, and you might not hear the bass because it's quite low. There's a really easy way to fix that. So if you go to loop and mixer, and if you take this master loop level down, let's press play, it's a lot quieter now. And you hear that bass a lot more. So you might want to just turn that volume down while you record your bass, and you can record it, you can turn it back up afterwards. So let's record, ready? Great, so you've recorded your bass now, you've got 4 parts. Don't forget to turn back your mixer back up, so you've got them all at the same level, or turn them back down so you can record something else. I'm going to keep mine quite low so I can record something else on top of it. The next thing that we're going to add in is some chords on top of that, so something a bit higher. So for me, I'm going to add in some violin, because I think strings are kind of very springy. So I'm going to add in some violin. But you could add in brass if you wanted to. You could maybe add in a trumpet. You could add in a different kind of keys. That would be fine as well. But it'll be something that's not percussion-y. So I'm going to add in some violin. And I'm actually going to take my arpeggio off for this because I want something that's not so duh, 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 duh all the time. I want something that's a bit more melodic. So it might just be a consistent kind of thing. So let's play and record something. I think I'm just going to stick to 2 notes again, kind of stick to something chordy. Again, you can do whatever you want. You can do something like a riff, a repeated pattern, or you can just stick to something more basic. So my violin sounds quite nice. It's just something a bit higher that will carry the tune a bit more and not make it so heavy on the bass note. Really simple. I just chose a couple of notes and I just moved between them. Again, you could do whatever you want. Perfect, so you've recorded your something else. You should now have 5 tracks, or maybe 4 if you decided not to do an extra drums. At this point, I think it's sounding pretty good. You can stop here and you can leave it at that, and you can add another instrument that you can play over the top. You can keep going, you can add things. I would just be careful. Sometimes I find when I add too many tracks, it starts to get a bit messy and the iPad can't handle it as much, and the way the sound comes out isn't very clear. The other thing that you can do with your loops button and your record buttons up here, you'll see there's actually 3 red buttons. If you click this one in the middle, it actually records the sound around you. So it's like a microphone record rather than recording the notes you play here. The only thing to watch out for is if you hit that record button and your loop is playing, you're going to record all of the sound that your loop is making as well as your voice. So it won't sound great. So the way to do that is if you pop your headphones in, then the sound that you're playing, the sounds of the loops you've already recorded will go through your headphones rather than through the speaker of the iPad. And then you can easily use the microphone of the iPad to record your voice without any interruptions. So you could do that if you wanted to. And again, you just hit record and it'll start recording with your loops that you've recorded in the background. So the last thing that I'm going to do, you'll notice I've actually added in an extra loop. I added in a guitar power chord. You might want to go and do that. You might want to go and add in something else if it's not quite, you don't feel it's quite full. You can use the arpeggio, or you can just play notes. You can play lots of different things, kind of up to you. The last thing I wanted to do is I'm going to add in one more instrument, but I'm not going to record it this time. I'm not going to do a loop for it. I'm just going to play it as it is. So it kind of be like a solo over the top of my recorded track. So that way it'll be different every time. I won't remember what I've played last time, so it'll be quite exciting. And it means that I can play for longer. I can play for like 16 beats instead of 8. So I've picked a blues organ because I think that'll stand out over the rest of it, because it's a bit of a different sound, and it doesn't sound too bad with the slide, and it also is nice if I want to play individual notes. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to solo over it. So I'm pretty much done. I'm ready to perform it. So we've done our loops and we've recorded stuff, and now we're ready to perform it. Really, really important thing you need to remember to do is to save it. So hit that save button, save your set, and give it a new name. So I'm going to put Spring, although I'm not entirely sure it sounds like spring anymore. I think it's maybe more autumny, but that's okay. It turns out how it turns out. So that's saved. So that means next time I open this up, I can put the loops in and I can play it again, or I can add different things in. Before we play through our piece, it's worth telling you about the session record button. So if we look up here, there's this little button here, kind of got a stopwatch in it. If you press that, it'll say down here, waiting for a session to start to record. So if you hit your play button, start your loop, and you'll see it starts to record your session. And then you can play through your piece, you can do your add in your different instruments, and you can do your solo on top exactly the way you like it. And then when it's finished, press the pause button, you finish playing, press that stopwatch again, and it'll go away, and that's you recorded whatever you're about to play. And to find that later, if you go into your loop button again, you can load, and then you go into your sessions, and your sessions will be there. Unfortunately, you can't rename these, which is a bit annoying, but it'll always be the one closest to the top that you've just recorded. So you'll know that, and then you press done. So I'm going to open up that mixer, and from here you can not only do this master level, you can actually control the volume of all of your different instruments. And if you click this button here, do you see it's got a red line through it now? The little speaker, you can turn them off. So I'm going to start with one thing and I'm going to gradually bring in more and more things. So don't forget that although when you're recording, it might sound like there's quite a lot of noise, quite a lot happening at once, you can go in and you can control that later when you perform it. So let's have a go and see what it sounds like. Let's see. I think I'll start with my violin. So yeah, let's perform this and let's play out with it. You've got everything ready, you've recorded everything, you've got your solo instrument, let's play. Well done! You made a whole piece of music from whilst you were watching that video. Absolutely fantastic job, really well done. I can't wait to hear what they sound like. I hope you managed to perform it. I hope you managed to perform it to lots of people. Maybe if you're doing this in a classroom, there was a couple of different people that you were able to perform to. So well done. Good job. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.